year correctly, that was the wettest July in the last 50 years.
Yeah.
I can believe that.
Good.
I'm sorry,
All right.
Ryan, wrong. He's not the one that's on hold, but he's.
Good morning, all. Welcome to Joint Park. O&M Committee, sitting in for Supervisor Molino, that had some personal matters to handle today. So I'm calling the meeting to order. Can we have our approval of the prior minutes?
Can't take any
Oh,
actions.
there is no action. I guess all we can have is discussion. Oh, what a tough job I got today. So, the update on of the events for 2023 to 24. I do have a letter from ex-mayor Blaze. I don't know, how do you say it now? You
Direct your special
after
events.
53 years, yeah, I still call him mayor like the president.
You can, certainly. I don't expect you to drop an old habit right quick.
He did send in a letter. Many 2023 events have been impacted by weather, but nonetheless very successful and well attended. All have requested a 2024 date, so that's great. The Strand Theater Summer Slam was canceled both days and moved their theater in moved to their theater in Hudson Falls. All payments were made in full. They have contacted 3 promoters and are working on for the new events for 2023 was the Adirondack Pub and Brewery Country Music and Brew Festival in June, ? The Common Roots Brewery, Craft Beer New York Festival in September, and Christian Dutcher and Dave Ellman on the Food Wagon Championship in September.
Supervisor McGowan, can I add another one? We just
Should
met.
you be reading this?
I could, if you want me to.
Well, yeah, I mean, I thought he sent it to me, but you
We
know.
send it to everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kahuna now. So.
I would add to the the promoters on new events. It's the Jeep Invasion is potentially September or August of 2024. We just met with them yesterday. They bring about 400 to 600 Jeeps to the area, and what they're looking for in order to nail down either the August or September date is trails. They would use either 1,000 Acres or Roaring Brook. The South Warren Snowmobile Club doesn't want them on their trails. We're looking for someone, and I was actually going to ask Supervisor Molino today, but about trails in Lake Luzerne. Places that I'm not sure of the ownership. It's probably changed over the years. When I was much younger, we took advantage of that trail system and might have had a kegger or two out there, but just wondering if those trail systems still exist. But so I just wanted to add that to it, and I can continue reading this if you'd like. Feel better about it?
No, but on the trail things, you know, back in the day when we grew up, all right, there weren't all these lawsuits. So one of the hardest things is, you know, is we got away with a lot more.
Yeah.
But we also, I think we're a little bit more respectful sometimes, but no, I really do hope the Jeep can find some land, and I will give it some thought of reaching out of, you know, the possibilities. I always like the one going up the back of Prospect Mountain, going under through the tunnel, you know.
Mhm. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one back in the day.
Jeeps will fit
too.
through
It was
that.
two-roof rat back then. But most people can go over, I could go around. All right, go ahead, follow on there.
So New Bookings is a religious pilgrimage, September 28th to 29th. I believe they do that every year. The Country Western Festival of 2024 is a new booking. And the King George Fishing Derby is returning this year, mid-September. Sponsored by Jeff Goldberg from fish307.com.
Well, I really, I'd like to reach out and thank, you know, both of you that you have a gem up there, and these are some really good bookings, and it's exciting that we have all these new ones coming in.
Yeah, it's become quite
I
successful.
have a question for our superintendent, Pejos, does our common, what do we call that up there? Jesus, I'm drawing a blank here.
Festival space?
Festival space, does that come with a parking lot?
If they rent the parking lot out front, yes.
Now, how big is that parking lot compared to the festival grounds, the grass area?
I don't have an answer for you how big it is. There's, I think that parking lot holds 96 cars right now, 96 vehicles. We've also parked cars in the festival space if there was a need to park cars in this festival space.
All right, Donna, we plow that for the winter?
The parking lot?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Just FYI, the infield of the park is approximately 2 acres. Area wise, if that's kind of what you're looking for.
So 90 cars, what's that, 1 acre?
I don't know.
Maybe
Maybe a half.
I don't think I've ever heard that from you before.
Half to 3/4, it right?
I guess the only thing I was thinking is, I know every year, and this is just off the top of my head, and, but, with the ice castles, you know, the time factor between them getting out, the ground drying out, getting vehicles in the festival. Is there any way, you know, we could get them over onto a harder packed surface where we don't have to do all the repairs and, you know, eat up all the deposit and stuff like that to get the grounds ready for, you know, the beginning of May? We might be able to get an event in there sooner.
I can comment on that, Kevin. I've had meetings with Ice Castles and they are reworking their organization to accommodate less weather dependency. So it's going to be more skating and ice sculptures. Some smaller structures, there will be another ice bar. The cleanup time, because they're using glycol and to keep things frozen. So they kind of revamped the way they did things because they want to come back. They love Lake George being, the park has a close proximity to 2 exits off a major highway, visibility from the state highway Route 9. So there's a lot of things going for them. They paid for an upgrade of the water service and the electrical service, so they need to get some ROI. So they've changed the whole layout of what they're doing. I've seen a taste of it, and I think it's going to be quite successful, and they'll be able to get out of the park sooner.
And that glycol, it's not a harmful glycol that will hurt, because we do have a high water tab connected to our lake there.
Correct, and it's in zones, so if there were a rupture, it would be a minimal amount.
So my question is anywhere that they would be built, because I heard that they've made some changes, which, you know, is exciting. So it can carry along and get through the weather events and draw people in. Now with the proposed light show coming in, I think it's going to be excellent up there at the lake this year. So I guess my question is, you know, I just was wondering if it's a possibility to look at maybe anything where they're building more of an ice, you know, area, if it be done on a harder surface or off the edge where we don't have all the damage, because you know, I heard basically the damage and repair, there was a mat that's all underneath that ground for stabilization, and when you get the big ruts in that, it ends up getting cut, and you know, it's not like we got weavers in there reweaving it back in. So that was my only thought. Kevin?
So it's actually fibers that are in that topsoil underneath when it was originally installed. And that was basically for stabilization and for allowing to be able to park on that. And yes, you're right. With the damage that we've had to cut out that sod and cut out that layer. Now there's spots around that no longer have those fibers with them anymore. As far as another surface, I don't think that ice castles could fit in the parking lot to use, but then you have you have no use of the festival space, because how would you get to the festival space if they're using the parking lot? And the parking now would have to get shifted in other places around the village. I mean, there are, I don't think the county wants to lose it, but there are other places. I mean, they could certainly go to DEC or others to reach out to their facilities and their parking lot. But as you recall, our facility as well as DEC's are now porous pavement parking lots. So any type of material, when that melts and runs off, that's running into the ground, and that supply is eventually making its way to the lake. With the porous pavement, probably filters a lot of that out with the type of sub-basin material that we have underneath there. But again, that's a significant amount of water going to the lake.
Just a thought I had in the middle of the night one time when I woke up that, I was just thinking, so thank you so much for answering so quickly as we move along. Mayor, I want to thank you. Is there any more you want to add to that?
I would actually just like to make a statement of gratitude to Kevin and his crew. Jim Martino from the town of Lake George and his crew, and our crew, our grounds crew and our beautification department. We had a consolidated effort two weeks ago. Kevin and I walked through the park. That sounds a little different. I walked through the park with all of the department heads, including Jim Martino, who, as we know, the town has no ownership there. Jimmy sent 7 guys for 3 days to help us clean that up, because if you'll recall, it was shut down through COVID. And it became too much for our existing agreement with you for one man 3 days a week, especially when he's 70 years old, to keep up with the overgrowth of the park. And it was a wet summer, as we discussed earlier, and it became extremely overgrown. And we had our beautification department there with 6 to 8 people all week that week. Jimmy brought his slope mower over from the town and we got the hill cleaned up. We didn't even realize there were boulders on it still because it had been so long since we had seen them. So I just want to make a statement of thank you and appreciation to Kevin's team, Jim's team, and our DPW for the collaborative effort of showing. It just shows a testament to how people can really work together on a project that benefits everyone. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Well, I want to thank you and on the behalf of being chair today, and I'm sure Supervisor Molina would say thank you to Lake George and Kevin with our DPW and crew. One of the things I've said since I've been into the county, there's no I in team. So working together and achieving the goals that we need. So thank you all for working together and making it happen. And I'll have to get a picture of those boulders there,
And by way of an update, I've met with Elon Planning at the site. They had a hand in the designing of that, modeled after another park, I believe, in Cleveland. But they have a short list of ideas that they want to put by us there. I spoke with the Wright Family Foundation, who originally funded it, and the Wood Foundation, a representative of the Wood Foundation, is on both committees. They would want to see a request for funding by August 15th. Elon knows this. They'll probably get a sketch out to me. I thought by today it might be in my inbox already. I'll share it with Kevin and Keith, and we'll go over some ideas.
Yes, Mr. Adrian.
So with that being said, that kind of led Mayor Perry, thank you, into the second item on our discussion items. So the playground is now 11 years old, 10, 11 years old. And a lot of the material that we put into that playground at the time, it was great, but it's starting to see its age. A lot of the walking platforms, which were 2-inch, 3-inch thick wood planks, they're starting to rot away. So Mayor Perry and I did walk the site, as he had said, and we had looked at a lot of the existing features that are in there and thought that we would definitely need to replace some. And then there's others that we might even talk about upgrading. And I think that would be part of that proposal, like maybe we put some newer features in there, and I'm glad you said you reached out to Alon because they were a big part of this in the beginning, and they designed a lot of what was there. And that would be good if there's other things that they can come up with, so that's kind of where we're going in the playground update, and if we can get funding from either the Wright Foundation or Wood Foundation, or from anybody for that matter, I'm sure Parks and Recs, New York State Office of Parks and Recreation would probably have some funding available as well. So we would definitely look for some funding to be able to upgrade the playground.
I hate to add this, is that something you can handle?
I believe,
Or both of
I
you?
believe Mayor Perry's talking with Alon and the Wood and Wright Foundations. If something doesn't come to fruition with them, then we would look to go to Office of Parks and see if we can get something out of them.
Would it hurt to hit both?
I don't think Office of Parks that I can get this year because I believe it falls under the consolidated funding applications, which were due as of today. And we
Get on
only
the
did,
phone.
and we only did this a couple weeks ago, so.
It might be something that we can look into I mean, because I'm sure we're gonna end up with some designs. And then, there's gonna be some discussion, so it might not be happening this year anyways, but everything in place, so. I mean, hey, the more the merrier. Like I said, it is an attraction. Brings a lot of people up there and updating after, 11, 12 years. Yeah,
We did discuss a splash pad while I was on site with a lot, so that it could be a next year project.
And I think with the things that are out there that are starting to deteriorate, if they get to the point that Keith and I. Or Mayor Perry or anybody feels that it's unsafe, we will remove them.
no,
That's what we'll end up doing.
We did remove that Willow Walk.
Yes,
Became
okay.
too overgrown
Yep.
to go through, so there's actually an empty space that. We saw that we discussed that could be potentially
Potential
a
for
swing
something else.
center or something like that, something more.
all right, so sorry, guys, I know you're all busy, but I'm gonna leave that in your hands to follow through. Because you do such a great job up there, and thank you, Mayor Perry. And, welcome to the big seat. All right, that brings us to number 3, the attendant maintenance update.
So, as Mayor Perry said earlier, Dave Goodsall, who has been a huge asset to taking care of that park over the years, is reaching 7 years old. It's a significant amount of work. We had cut him down basically, I think, to 3 days because the kind of the expense and the revenue, we weren't really gaining any revenue from any of the events come in. Although with the number of events that we've had, we definitely have a reserve of funding now. With that being said, Mayor Perry and I talked about possibility of combining DPW staff, which would either be buildings and grounds and or Parks and Rec staff with some of their staff to help out on a facility. I had actually had in 2 separate occasions had Scott Rogers go down with buildings and ground staff and had Dean Moore go down with Parks and Rec staff and said, okay, each one of you give me what it would take for you to maintain that park. And how long it would take and what's the manpower and such. Both of them, believe it or not, came back with a day and a half apiece with 3 guys and with their equipment. So with that being said, just before the meeting, I talked to Keith and Mayor Perry, and they had offered up that they would provide somebody and that we would assist them. I would hope to try to schedule it as a once a week, whether it's in buildings or grounds and or Parks and Rec. I'll have to kind of nail Scott down and Dean down and say, okay, can this conceivably fit within your other work of maintaining a bike path or maintaining the grounds here and such, but we're still in the early discussions of it. But if anything, we would supplement their guys next year on taking care of the park so that it wouldn't be such a big job to do as one person.
One scheduled day a week.
Yeah, we would look to have one scheduled day a week,
Yeah,
every week to take care of the work.
Like a rain date.
Yep.
Potentially as
Yeah.
well.
at the village level, we've, tried to put additional people there to assist Dave in the past. And so I think it would be just a continuation of what the village has been doing already, but we'd happy to, bring that to a little bit higher level if possible, with some other assistance. And I think it'll work out pretty well within a 1-day episode.
I agree. And that's less we gotta pay the
Mr.
bill.
Burrow, sound good to you?
Sounds good to me.
All right, well, that's another goal we can work for, so, should keep that on, discussion. Along with the playground to keep up on that, so. Any referrals or pending items?
None.
Is there anybody from the public, privilege of the floor would, like to speak?
I have a question.
Well, please.
Denise and I have had a discussion about the Strand.
Yes.
They canceled the day before their event was supposed to happen. She was wondering how much she should, or we should. The whole amount, or I don't mean the whole amount. Do we want to keep just the
Keep the
deposit and send back,
In our contract,
That's what I was gonna ask.
well, there's a weather clause in the contract.
yeah, but a day before,
The day before, so that's my question.
mean-
Do we want to keep the whole amount? I don't know if he had a conversation with Mr. Patino, when Mr. Patino sent the check in to pay for the whole thing. But like I said, it was the day before when he canceled, so I
Well,
think
let-
you're really entitled to keep the whole amount, but it's up to the committee, whatever they want to do.
well, I'll refer to our,
Yeah,
Our
I'll take a
attorney.
Look at the contract on that one. This is the. What event is this now?
It's a-
SummerSlam.
Yes,
It was Dave Enos. It was-
no, it was the
Jonathan
Strand.
Duel.
Jonathan, okay.
I mean, I understand the fact that, we do not, want to, turn anybody or, sour anybody's opinion, but on the other hand, too, I mean, one day,
Exactly, I understand that, and the other thing is that if they hadn't rented it, perhaps it could have been rented to somebody else. So it's all up to the committee what they want to do.
and it really depends on what the rain clause is, and maybe that's something we ought to look
I
at.
don't think it was a rain thing. I think it was more volunteers. He didn't get the volunteers.
Yeah, I heard rain.
Did you hear right?
Yeah, it was a bad storm.
And I heard volunteers. All right, is that fair to look into that? Should we, how do we handle that?
Yeah, we can take action. next
Can't
month.
take any action anyway, so let's keep that in discussion or add that to discussion or how we.
I would just say if we have Robert look at the contract and what it reads, but I don't think that needs committee action. If the contract says that we maintain or we keep those funds for deposit, then we keep the funds.
Whatever,
And- and
whatever
that-
the contract
For the
says.
full amount.
For the full amount.
Right.
If that's how the contract reads.
I'll take-
I believe that's how it.
Yeah, I'm happy to take a look at the contract and I'll catch up with the tourism office.
And if the board, at the board's pleasure, I would be willing to refund half of it, just to throw it out there. Like you said, you don't really want to sour anyone, it's a good organization for the community, albeit ours or Hudson Falls, but,
How many days was it rented?
Two.
Two.
So it was a weekend, and like I said, we could have got someone else in there, and like I said, was it rain or was it volunteers, or was it a combination of both? Well, it's gonna be raining, we don't have enough volunteers, why don't we just bag it? So,
Yeah.
this is business. But I understand, on the other hand, too, I don't want to have any sour grapes, so. So we'll let Rob handle it and look into it and
I'll speak with John too. If I
and then
know
we'll
exactly
take
what
it
it
from
was.
there. Yeah, just tell him it's just,
Was it
it was
rain
just dumped on us and there wasn't enough
information?
information, yeah. So, all right, is there anything else? Okay, so motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Oh, can't even do that either.
No, just think-
Let's go see what we're coming in. Good morning, and over there.
We're definitely not here.
I hear.